In this video we're going to consider formal and informal groups. Now, groups emerge in different shapes and sizes. It depends critically on the location or the setting where the group is in existence, where it comes into existence. It also depends on its functions, its rationale. Why is there a group being set up, or what are its functions? What does it aim to achieve? So the precise nature of groups can vary greatly. Groups, for example, within companies could be based in a department within the company, or they could be based within a small section, or there could be company-wide groups. There could be informal. Membership is optional, or there could be formal, where there's a required attendance and functions are allocated according to positions within the group. So all sorts of sizes and configurations can be imagined in the context of groups. Managers, for example, belong to several groups at the same time, several different groups at the same time. They could include groups at work, groups within the community, family, could be formally organized groups, or they may be grouped in a very informal social way or social nature. So managers could be members of many different groups at the same time. And in fact, this happens to most people. We are members of several groups at the same time. Some people are members of many groups. Some people are just members of the family group, some friends groupings, groupings within work, and perhaps sporting groups and social groups of various types. But we are members of various groups at the same time. In an organization, there are two main types of groups that we need to be concerned with. And this is quite dichotomous. Dichotomous in the sense it's formal or informal. So there are two types of situation we want to focus in on here, formal and informal. Formal groups are centered and created around management, and they're created to accomplish organizational goals. These are formal groups. Attendance is normally compulsory. They may have a constitution, they may have a set of requirements and procedures to follow. They're very formalized, and they're normally in existence to accomplish some particular goals. The main goal in creating formal groups is to perform specific tasks and achieve objectives. So the organization has specific tasks it wants to meet, and it must form a group, and the group is charged with finding solutions to problems or meeting particular tasks or achieving something for the organization. And it's a formal group. There will be a chairperson and a secretary, and they'll have minutes, and they'll break up the assignments and or the work allocation formally within the group, and they'll have report back sessions and so on. This is very formalized, and it's aimed at achieving some specific objectives. Formal groups consist of individuals cooperating under the instructions of their leader. This includes departments, division, task force, committee, and boards of directors. So formal groups run right the way through organizations. They're operating at almost all levels of the organization, and they will have specific objectives to meet, as I said before. They will have a leader or a chairperson who will guide the discussions in the groups, and they will have regular meetings, and they will have report back sessions, and they may have subgroups associated with them and so on. But they will have structure, and they will be guided, and they will have a task to complete. Formal groups are an important element in an organization's structure. They're very important because it's the formal grouping that enables tasks to get completed. Individuals in formal groups share a sense of commonality of objectives, of goals and rewards, which forms a formal group. So the individuals within the formal groups have a common sense of purpose. They're in the group to try to achieve some task, they're working towards it, and they're collaborating and discussing it and dealing with the problem and trying to get it resolved. People are more likely to accomplish goals to the best of their ability than they would in an informal group. So informal groups, they're working with a structure, almost with a discipline. With an informal group, it's optional. It may happen or it may not happen, and there's no great pressure on members of informal groups to achieve anything. It's an informal group. But with formal groups, they try their best to achieve and to report back and to make a valuable contribution. They effectively coordinate activities around departments. So formal groups are useful because they generate cohesion within the department. They bind the department together. They have purpose. There may be more than one formal group within a department of a company. There may be several formal groups working on different tasks. There may be one control group that is controlling the overall department, and that could be headed by the departmental manager. So it's a mechanism, in a sense, for getting things done, for completing tasks. It does manage to establish authority and position. People within the formal group know who the leader is. They know who's in charge of the group. Who's the spokesperson, who's the chairperson, or whatever you want to call this person. Who is it that is guiding the group and getting everyone within the group to try to have a common sense of purpose and aim at the achievement of certain objectives. And there should be an effective application of the division of labour within the group. The leader of the group should spot competencies within the group and allocate personnel within the group to performing tasks that match their competencies, so that there's a good division of labour within the group and they're all working on different tasks according to their abilities and their interests. It does create group cohesion, as I said earlier, as a result of the set of goals and objectives. The group know what they're trying to achieve. They have a sense of purpose. They're working together to achieve a particular outcome. So there's more cohesion, there's more working together, and there's greater cooperation, greater acknowledgement of each other's efforts, better working relationships. So a lot of good points come out of working in groups. Charles Handy introduced a set of organisational motives for developing formal groups. For a start, the distribution of work activities through skills and responsibilities. So look at the group, look at their skills, look at their past responsibilities and how well they achieve those and what their interests are and their personalities, and allocate the work accordingly. And manage and control the work. Intervene with the group, talk to the group, make sure they're on the right track, make sure they're pulling together, and control the pace at which the work is being conducted. Problem solving becomes easier as the group consists of different capabilities and skills. One person may not see the solution, but other people, looking at it from different angles, may see the solution clearly. So whenever there are problems, there is a variety of perspectives to be brought in to look at the problem, and one of them may come up with a solution. So it's a better way of problem solving. And it's easier to gather and pass on information. They're working as a group. It's a formal group, so they're able to talk to each other, gather information from each other, share interests and share experiences, and share knowledge about the problem that you're facing as well, and pass on the information. It's a good mechanism for communications. It's a good way that they meet. They may have face-to-face meetings and talk about the problems, and sometimes serendipity may enter into the equation. Sometimes somebody who's not working on a particular aspect of the problem may come across a solution that would apply elsewhere, and they're able to help out a colleague working in the group someplace else by saying they've seen a solution to this problem someplace else, and passing on that knowledge. So it's more cooperative. And of course they're able to test and evaluate decisions. Whenever they come up with a suggestion, the suggestion can be looked at by different members of the group, who can then analyze it and think about it and criticize it and suggest improvements. And so it's a better solution when it does come about. And the group can also resolve arguments between different functions. When there are problems within the group, members of the group disagreeing over something, or personality clashes or whatever, the rest of the group are able to bring about a solution. They're able to iron it out by talking it out. Now, informal groups. Well, informal groups form outside of a manager's control. So these are informal. This is when workers just loosely talk to each other and share experiences and just meet. There's no formal structure. They don't have to meet every second Tuesday of the month or whatever. They don't have to meet every Friday afternoon. This is just informal. They meet up every now and again, and they have a chat, and they share experiences and share ideas. These groups are self-created and are not involved in the formal organization structure. They're just loose groupings, people coming together, just talking about issues and just loose chatting about problems and issues and finding solutions and making recommendations to each other, and acting as support center for each other. When one has a problem, they can go to this informal group and ask their opinion and get guidance and help and support and share experiences. Informal groups emerged naturally amongst the workers without management control. Reasons for informal groups is a common interest shared by the members. And that's how informal groups come about. They share a common interest. They're not organized as a group. The management don't bring them together as a group. That would be formal groups. This is informal. Just workers meeting informally once in a while to talk about issues, talk about problems, and act as a center for support for each other. In times when they've got problems, they can share the problems or seek advice, for example. Common interests may include sport, going out to the cinema for a general evening, or general chatting, or it could be about work, as I said, or problems at work, or support, or sharing knowledge about schools, or interest in family matters, or health, or it can be all sorts of issues. It's just an informal group. People meet, they support each other, they talk about common issues, and they've got a personality that suits each other. They're able to get along together. It's a friendship group almost. They're able to collaborate and talk, and they benefit from the contacts, and also they enjoy the experience. Informal groups may satisfy a range of needs. For example, social support reduces insecurities and a sense of belonging. So it reduces insecurities and introduces a sense of belonging. Well, that's good, because sometimes people have issues, they're confused about certain procedures or certain requirements, or from work, or indeed in the wider society, and they're able to share their experiences and support each other. And there's a sense of belonging. They belong to the group because the group is supportive, the group is helping them, and they also are making a contribution to the group. They're trying to help the group. The needs for love and support. Well, this smacks of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. But there is a need to belong. We've all got a social need. This need inside us to belong to an institution, or belong to a group, or to be valued in life. So we have this need to belong, to be appreciated. And it's very similar to what we're dealing with here, is very similar to one of the levels of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which is the subject matter of a separate video. It acknowledges a sense of identity and self-esteem. The fact that they're members of this loose group, loose, very informal group, it does give them self-esteem, because they are now members of this group, and they're able to attend perhaps a very informal meeting. They're able to identify with the group and its ambitions, which could be just social, going on a day trip, or attending a sporting event, or whatever it is. But it addresses their needs, and they have this desire to be involved in the group and to be seen as a valuable member of the group. It's the fulfillment of social needs, entertainment, and being involved with friends, and having support from the friends, making a contribution towards the well-being of the friends as well. It's enjoying life, it's having entertainment, it's mixing with similar-minded people. It provides a foundation of acceptable behaviour and organisational norms. Informal groups, in a sense, they teach what is acceptable behaviour. They're supportive. So when somebody is perhaps going down the wrong direction, or not behaving according to the rules, or not understanding the rules perhaps effectively, they're able to take corrective action. They're able to fix the problem and bring the person back into line. And they do it by virtue of membership of this very informal group, this friendship group. They're able to reorientate the person and explain how it should be done and what is required, and in that way the person benefits. So the person gets to know what is acceptable behaviour, and what are the organisational norms, what is the way in which behaviour should be conducted, or work should be conducted, or indeed how should we live out our lives, what is acceptable within the society in which we live. So we have two types of groups. One formal, very structured within the company perhaps. We could have a formal grouping within a college or a university. We can have a formal grouping within the service sector. It can be on various levels. And we also have informal groups, which are looser, but also important to individuals because it gives them a sense of belonging, as I said, or a sense of status, and acts as a supportive mechanism for that person as well. And that's all we're going to deal with in the context of formal and informal groups. So let's leave it at that and say thank you for watching.